I'm not eating, I'm just drinking enough water just to get me through the day, and pretty much thinking something here really soon is going to go, either this is just going to go away or it's going to kill me, one or the other.
Had to remove all of his colon and part of his rectum in order to get control of the bleeding. And since this was done emergently on an unprepped bowel, we had to do an ileostomy, which was obviously temporary.
Man, I can't believe I'm alive. I thought for sure I was dead. And, you know, and then when the doctors came in and said, you're going to be fine, there's going to be a period of recovery. I had 33 staples, I believe, from the top of my stomach all the way down. That was pretty painful, but they said I'd be okay and that life would go on, and so I felt pretty good.
He pulled through because of his good health, and then he came out of it and slowly started getting better.
The first thing, which was a huge accomplishment, was just to sit up on the end of the bed. And it's kind of funny when you think about being able to work out hard and do all the things that we do. And then now my goal is to sit up on the end of the bed. And if I can sit up on the end of the bed and then just sit there for 5 or 10 seconds, I mean, they were thrilled with that. And it was like, that's just quite a change from what you're used to. So sat up on the end of the bed, I believe the second day. And then the third day, I was able, with some help, to get up and to walk a little bit.
He could barely stand up when I saw him in the hospital. He could barely do anything because he was so weak. His hemoglobin was, on a normal person on his side, should be between 14 and 15. He was only maybe 6 or 7.
With hemoglobin that low, basically what that meant was I could stand up maybe for 5 minutes. Then I'd get really tired, lightheaded, and I'd have to sit back down. So it took a while just to be able to walk for any length of time. At that point, I had lost so much blood that they were recommending a transfusion, but they did say that if we could give it a day to see if my hemoglobin and red blood cell count started to head the right way, that eventually it would get there. So
Dr. Patty also told me he wanted to give him some blood at that time with transfusion, and I refused again. I said, I think John can do it.
They scared me and said there is a small chance that you can get, you know, HIV or, you know, hepatitis or whatever. It's a minuscule chance, but at that point I felt like my odds just hadn't been playing out lately, so I probably should have got the transfusion, but I didn't. I was hard-headed.
During the time in the hospital, John couldn't get up, so he asked his wife to get a little electrical stimulator for his legs, and you see this dumb bodybuilder laying down on a bed, you know, with severe scars, bleeding, giving himself electrical shocks on his legs so his legs can get stronger. And actually, the nurses used to tell me, say, oh, he's going to take a long time to get better. Actually, it only took 48 hours for John to start doing what he was supposed to do and walking around and doing what he was supposed to do. And he said he got better quick.
I left after about 10 days. I got home and it was a Friday. I remember it was a Friday. It was a weekend, and it was in the afternoon toward the nighttime, and we were driving home. Everybody looked like they were out having a good time, and I was pretty happy to be headed home. Got home, I put I call it the shocker. It's an e-stimulation unit on my legs to try to get some strength back so I could start to build a little bit of muscle back. I waited until they took the staples out, which I believe was about 2 weeks. And once they took those staples out, I went back to the gym. And when I went back to the gym, it was just, it was 2-3 pound dumbbells. It was just, raise a dumbbell this way, raise a dumbbell that way. Curl a 2 pound dumbbell. It was just really, really light stuff. Basically, just trying to wake my muscles up because they hadn't done anything for so long. And amazingly enough, weight started coming back. I could eat anything I wanted. So I was I was, and I have a journal that details everything I ate. I was eating probably 7 times a day, maybe even 8 times a day. Granted, they were very small meals, but my weight started coming back real quickly. And what they had told me was that we were going to have another surgery to remove the ileostomy.
John told me, listen, I gotta remove the back. I'm doing great. I gotta go back and have surgery again. And I said, go for it. You know, we need to put that back, connected back inside from the small intestine to the rectal area.
He went through a series of operations, first to reconnect his bowel continuity.
And I felt real good. I was back to I was about 217 pounds and in pretty good shape. And I really felt like that surgery would be a walk in the park. And my surgeon, being the very wise gentleman that he is, kept reminding me, this is a major surgery. I've got to cut completely through your abdominal wall again. Don't take this lightly. And they had given me some antibiotics and some other things that they do pre-surgery.
Well, something that never happens to Patty is he developed complications.
We took down his ileostomy, at which time we found some scar tissue from his previous operation that we took down. He formed an abscess after this, which we were able to drain with CAT scan guidance.
I woke up and I actually felt pretty good. They had me up walking pretty much the next day, I believe, and I started having some abdominal swelling. They told me to ease up on the food, not that I was eating much, but they told me to ease up on the food, so I was really only eating crushed ice at that point. And my stomach just kept swelling up, and then the staples, even a couple staples, started popping out.
And John developed a blockage, so he started vomiting again. Saw him at the office. Actually, his abdomen was like about 42 inches. It looked like he was pregnant.
He had another problem in that where I had reconnected his small intestine to his rectum became a little narrow.
And they had to remove that obstruction. And so Dr. Patty went back in. This was 8 days later, I believe.
He had to open it up with balloons. We had to do it twice. Once my partner, Dr. Lindsay, had done one in my absence. And then the second time I did it, after which things settled down.
And I thought, okay, finally, it's over. The first surgeries had been back in October. These surgeries were in November the 14th and November the 25th. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm missing Thanksgiving here, but you know what? I'll be ready and raring to go for Christmas. And so I go thinking I'm going to be out in 2 or 3 days, and so I'm basically just biding my time, and I start having kind of hot and cold flashes, and I have no idea what's going on, but it didn't seem too serious. I didn't feel like I had a lot of energy. I felt like something wasn't quite right, but at that point I was really being stubborn, and I just wanted to go home anyway. So I was released and I went home.
Well, he was only here for a couple of days, 2 days. He comes back to the office again, and this time he was having severe fevers, weak, sweating a lot. I said, we need to go back to the hospital.
So we went back in, and they found that I had developed an infection, probably from my very weakened state from having those surgeries back to back, but it's actually another common thing with abdominal surgeries.
I called to Patty, and in the incisions, and the incisions were pretty large, and inside the abdomen he had between 3 to 4 abscesses, and these were supposed to be drained, but usually they use a syringe with a large needle to get in then, but he couldn't do it that way, so he had to open him up again and actually excise his capsules and drain them. And when you have to do that, you actually have to put like tubes inside of the abdomen so that stuff keeps draining constantly. Here we start again, ICU again, and at least John was here from November the 24th to the 25th, all the way to December 24th.
So they inserted a couple tubes into my right side, and the tubes led out onto these little bags that were Velcroed to my legs, so it would drain out all the bad stuff. And I was put on IV antibiotics, and I was back in there for another couple weeks. And at this point, I still wasn't eating a whole lot, and I had got to the point where they were feeding me with a TPN line, which is a line that they actually insert into your arm. It goes down into your heart, and they were dripping carbohydrates, fat, and protein through that line into me. So, eventually the antibiotics got that infection cured, and we did some more CAT scans, and it was gone. And I actually got home in early January.
He is a guy that barely standing up, 164, and I remember he looked pale as hell. I mean, very white guy.
And coming back from that proved to be really, really difficult. The first surgery wasn't so bad, but coming back from those 2 back-to-back surgeries afterwards was just a whole nother ball game. I mean, all the little dumbbells that I was doing after the first surgery would get light. The next workout, everything just kept going up and up and up, and my weight kept going up. That wasn't happening after those 2 surgeries. It was a very difficult rehabilitative process.
The first thing that he asked me was, "Eric, can I come back?" And I said, "Well, your abs look like a table now because they were so wide apart." And John had an incredible, what they call six-pack. I would call it the most awesome set of six-packs in bodybuilding. But now they were good, but they were like about 4 or 5 inches separated compared to what they were before. And if you look at him now, he looks like a piano. It's almost, you can see each little muscle is separated, so separated because the amount of hernias that he developed secondary to the amount of surgeries. And it was a long haul, actually. It took about 3 to 4 months for John to start being what I call a normal, quote unquote normal.
He has shown a remarkable recovery, and he has regained all the muscle mass that he lost during and after surgery. And I think he's really looking amazingly well now.
So one of the questions that people ask me a lot now is, why are you doing this? Why do you want to do it again? Why do you want to risk your health? First of all, I don't really feel like I'm risking my health because Dr. Patty and Dr. Serrano have told me that the chances of this reoccurring, the actual affliction that I had, idiopathic myointimal hyperplasia, the mesenteric vein being the technical term, has never come back in anybody's small intestine ever. So from a safety standpoint, I feel like I'm not really putting myself at risk. But beyond that, I mean, I'm doing this more just to prove to myself that I can come back from something tough and overcome a challenge. I hope that maybe somebody watches this, that maybe they have a challenge of their own to deal with. I'm hoping that in some way it can give some inspiration and be some kind of positive influence on some other people as well. So my goal at this point is not to be Mr. Olympia. It's not to win the Arnold Classic. My goal at this point is to look the best that I can look. So it's just been about the passion and being able to do it and having fun, the training. You know, the best part about bodybuilding for me is the training. There's absolutely nothing like making progress in the gym, grinding out tough sets, getting better, you know, walking out of there, you know, knowing that you've accomplished something that, you know, most people probably can't put themselves through. You know, that's where I derive my joy from.